All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission. We're going to do a regular meeting. Today is May 23rd, 2024. This is the City Council Chambers located at 405 Municipal Drive in Kennedale, Texas, 76060. We're going to start off with our call to order. Item A. I'm just going to remind everybody in the audience to address the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding any agenda item, please request to speak before the meeting begins. If you have not done so and you want to, please go on over and pull a paper up and hand that over to Ross over here. Speakers are going to be allotted for 3 minutes. They must limit their comments to the subject indicated on their form and should address the Planning and Zoning Commission as a whole, rather than the individual members or staff. Now, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, the Planning and Zoning Commission reserves the right to adjourn into executive or closed session anytime during the meeting to seek legal advice from the city attorney or any item posted on the agenda. So item A, we're going to go ahead and do a roll call, Ross.
Mikowski, place 1.
Here.
Guo, place 3. Avila, place 4. Yeah.
Present.
And Martinez, place 5.
Here.
Chairman Brown, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, everybody. Excuse me. Okay, item 2, Visitors and Citizen Forum. At this time, any person may address the Planning and Zoning Commission about items not on the agenda. Rules and procedures for addressing the Planning and Zoning Commission are included under the last comments I made under call to order. Neither formal action or discussion may occur at this time. Those wishing to instead speak on the agenda items should indicate their desire to speak at the Planning and Zoning Commission considers on that item. Do we have anybody at this time who'd like to come forth during the general citizen forum? All right, the silence is golden. Moving right along, item 3, regular session. This is going to be our consent agenda, item A. These items have appeared on previous agendas, and they shouldn't require any kind of basically little information or deliberation. We're going to consider these routine tasks, discussion if we can desire, if you need to, and that might actually require a separate consideration at that point. So with that being said, item 1 is going to be the approval of the minutes from the April 25th, 2024 regular meeting. Commissioners, is there any questions regarding these minutes? Good, everybody over here? Good. All right, well then I would at this time like to take a motion to approve the minutes from April 25th, 2024 in the regular meeting.
Motion we approve.
Second, please.
I second the motion.
All right, all in favor, please. Aye. All right, sir, that passed unanimously. I will sign that form and get to you momentarily. Items for individual consideration. P&Z case 24-08 to consider approval of proposed conditional use permit as required by section 24.2 Cs and Charlie of the Unified Developmental Code for battery energy storage systems, a new land use located at 509 South New Hope Road, Track 1 Echo Echo at Alpha 1327 TRS 2B as in Bravo 01 and 2B as in Bravo 04, Abstract 378, situated at the Canon EC Survey and 501 South New Hope Road, Block 1, Lot 1 of the Kim Addition and the City of Kennedale, Tarrant County, Texas. It's a mouthful. Staff, I understand this is kind of a continuation from last month, so if you did, please proceed.
Thank you. Great to be with you tonight again. If you recall, this particular agenda item was tabled last meeting, pending additional procedural questions that you all had, and then some more study, I believe, that you wanted to see from the applicants. So at our last meeting, I just want to inform the commission that I did speak with the city attorney as far as procedural goes regarding that the conditional use section that you cited there before relating to the conditional use permit for this proposed development for Cypress Creek Renewables, given that the UDC currently doesn't include a land use. So the question, if I recall correctly, was can we issue a CUP for a land use that isn't already in the UDC itself? Do we need to amend the UDC? After talking with the city attorney, he said to amend the UDC is not needed for this particular proposal. The CUP is the exact method to consider this case under. And so we did get that squared away. And so I hope that that answers that particular questions. We don't have any concerns as far as procedural goes for both P&Z and then when we get to council as well. Let's see. Also, we talked about last time about what the staff is considering plans as far as updating the UDC in general. And one of those, one of several amendments to the UDC that we're looking at is how do we anticipate future changes in technology? How can we put something in place, particularly when it comes to energy and alternative energy methods? What can we put in place that maybe hasn't been designed or invented yet, but at least will establish a land use definition so that for future P&Zs and future staff won't have to find land use determinations, and it just provide a little bit more clarity. And so we are considering doing that. We haven't put pen to paper just yet. We haven't really defined what that was going to be just yet, but that process again is ongoing. But I hope that answers the questions that you brought up last time. So since we've met Cypress Creek, we've met with Cypress Creek. They've provided you an updated memo. Actually, they provided you 3 documents. One was the memo that kind of summarizes a lot of the highlights of the study that they performed, and it addressed some of the concerns that I mentioned the fire department raised. So if you've had an opportunity to review that, if you have any questions for that, we do have the applicants that can speak to that. I think it was a very, very good meeting. We met Monday about that particular memo, but also they provided the full plume study for review. And then they also provided a draft emergency management plan that they're currently working over in Brazos Bend with that particular jurisdiction and the public safety professionals down there. And the way they described it, because I asked, well, it's a draft, so has it been approved? Is it official? And they had a very good answer, which I thought was great, because as the site is being developed and before it goes online, they are actually working hand in hand with the fire department. And they bring them out on site and they look at access. And so sometimes they'll make recommendations out on the field, right? And so within that, they're going to incorporate that within the plan itself. And so they work hand in hand. So it's a partnership with their local, with the local emergency personnel down there. And I thought that, okay, well, that explains that, because that was the question I had, right? So I thought they did a good job at that as well. So the full incident study, or the plume study is what it's referred to as, the incident study, again, has been included for your review. And that's in reference to that site in Rosenberg, Texas, one of the other sites that they're operating. The staff report is just simply to update you on the questions that you had procedural-wise, and then also to provide an opportunity to review those additional studies. And again, we have members, or they have the applicants here that can answer any additional questions that P&Z has. With that, tonight, if you feel you've got enough information to make a decision, we'll certainly welcome a motion on it. That concludes what I've got for this particular agenda item.
I got one question for you, staff.
Yes, sir.
Recommendation has, based on the new information provided, has that changed as far as the staff's considerations? Because before it was a non-recommend.
Right. So we're still sticking with our recommendation, because we base that off of what the current plan calls for in that particular area. And even after the great meeting that we've had with that, speaking with the fire department, their concerns still remain the same as far as how they're going to respond to it, regardless. But within the memo, I believe it's worth you looking at, is they provided some mitigation for that, some assistance in that. And they've offered, again, opportunity to have the fire department come on out and meet with them, particularly if, should the site become on its way to being developed, that they're going to work hand in hand with that. But they're still going to respond as like a hazmat situation because of the nature of what their world entails. So they deal kind of in worst case scenarios, right? And so I don't think their position on that has changed. And but since then, following our last public hearing, I do want to note I have not received any concerns, comments, or questions or from the community that was with us at our last meeting. I haven't been contacted at all. We will have another public hearing that goes for city council. We will have to notice, public notice that meeting. So following this particular meeting, we will again send letters out to the community. We will still post our notice in the paper as required by law, and they'll have an opportunity to come back and ask more questions if they feel their questions haven't already been answered. But I just wanted to advise you, I haven't heard any more concerns from folks in that immediate area since then.
Okay, and then the second question I have is, given the meeting that the staff of the fire department over there, and chief and whatnot, had with development, do we get any kind of indication that gave any movement as far as feeling a little bit more confident on being able to respond? There's no revised statement whatsoever in here from them, so.
Correct, yeah, I think that it did provide some clarity that to how they would respond, the multiple redundancies that are, lack of a better term, kind of baked into the system, right? They went methodically through from the cell to the module to the column of modules to the box itself. They went through all that with the interim chief, and at the end of that, concluding that meeting, he said, listen, we're still gonna respond the way we respond, but they were encouraged by the opportunity to be able to meet with them, formulate that plan, things of that nature.
That's all I had for staff. Anybody else in the chair?
So for staff, the recommendation is still for or against?
We would recommend, we would not recommend this particular development in the sense that it's just not consistent with our adopted plans.
Okay.
As far as concerns that we have for safety on the development side, I don't have those concerns. I'll say that, but I wouldn't be the one responding there. So that's I don't know what that's worth.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
So I'm just basically clarifying on this as far as policy is concerned. That's the concern that staff has when it comes to this particular development versus its actual usage or placement in the city or how it impacts the city or the.
Let me clarify what I mean by it's not consistent with our plans, is that it's not consistent with the future land use plan. The CUP in this type of use would be consistent with the current zoning under the industrial zoning. This part, if you recall this, we got a large piece of property. And so this back 40, I don't know if that number is accurate, right, is zoned, I've always wanted to say the back 40, I listen to a lot of country music, right? But it's currently zoned industrial, right? So if we think about where you would put one of these developments, you would probably be looking at an industrially zoned property, right? You probably wouldn't be looking at a residential property. The caveat to that, though, is that it's adjacent to residential. We have residential kind of coming, but where it's tucked in on the back part of the property, it's tucked in around other property that is zoned industrial, and it likely won't change, right? So let me clarify, our future land use plan, our recommendation's kind of based off of what our adopted plans say. And I'm simply saying it's just not consistent with that adopted plan, but that's why we're here. And to bring it before P&Z for a recommendation, what do you guys think about it? And I'm gonna have that same conversation with City Council and advise them, hey, this is what our adopted plans say. And I would say it's not uncommon for a CUP to be in that similar situation, right? We're going to consider a land use that isn't on the books. And I would say maybe the future land use plan didn't envision or couldn't envision this at the time when it was adopted, right? So that's why earlier I mentioned that as we're working on updating the UDC, updating our future land use plan, which we just announced our next steering committee, right, coming up. Those are some of the discussions that we want to include in that. So again, we bring it before you for your consideration, and would support any decision you all make.
So I'm kind of a history nerd. The Telegraph Act was envisioned long ago when it was just Morse code. Then along came the telephone. It fell under the Telegraph Act. Along came the internet. Guess where it is?
I remember that.
It's under the Telegraph Act. So my thinking on this is, it seems like there's a box out there that really just needs to be, shall I say, renamed versus really developed into a different type of catch-all. And I think that's where we're at as far as, shall I call it, more of a letter of the law, if you will. We definitely want to look at it as the spirit of it, and, you know, is this good for Kennedale? Is it good for the citizens? Is it good for our growth? And does it meet a categorical location? So you're indicating that it would probably be in the industrial area if that, in fact, was included. Is that pretty much an understanding?
I would say yes. So
Reaching back to this telegraphed idea with putting the internet in as well.
Yeah, if I would look at a map, any city, pick a city, right, and I wanted to put something like this, those would probably be the first areas I'd look for, and I imagine that's probably what they've done. They look at where we have a grid, usually where those grids are established or in areas remote, rural. Kennedale obviously has roots, rural, remotes, that grid that's been there for a long time, and the cities grow up against that at some point. So that would be, I would say probably it would be your decision if it would be an appropriate place, or council's decision to be appropriate place out on an industrial zone property. But, you know, I certainly don't think it's my place to say it is that, but that's what you're asking me. I would say an industrial zone property is taken into account, hopefully, right? We can get into the conversation about Euclidean zoning and things of that nature, right? Where we don't want this over here, we want this over here. One of the questions we've asked is, how is this going to impact adjacent residential? And today, we have adjacent residential, but they got a little bit more elbow room than the average man, right, over there. So, but as development comes in that area, you know, that's where your
I do recall
consideration
two of those individuals coming in and actually being for it. So now, who's to say the next resident that lives there 20 years from now, when this is maybe renewing or sunsetting, if they have the same idea look to it. But I just look at you as the subject matter expert in this, and that's why I understand that we make recommendations. Of course, the city council makes the approvals, but definitely you are relied on, and thank God we have you as a subject matter expert in the zoning and land use. So I'm good. Has anybody else got anything?
Just one quick question. When was the current existing one, future land use map, when was that approved?
The one that we're working off of was included in the 2012 comprehensive plan.
Okay. And then the site that this is at, this is basically the prime location for this because the majority of this site sits in a floodplain. This is going to utilize an area of the land that is not in the floodplain. There's also supposed to be there's a future development of a road that goes through that portion of the property as well. It's right next to a distribution station. And so overall, this is basically the best place that this development can go in. But we're working off of a map that was approved 12 years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I would concur, with the exception of if it's the prime location, that would, that's where.
For us, is that?
I'll say this, you're thankful for me being here, I'm thankful I don't have to make the decision, right? But where it is, on the south end of that parcel, right? It's outside the floodplain. It's been revised, right? Before it was on the northern part, and that was in conflict with the Little School Road, that conversation coming through, so they've shifted it further south, and it's gonna be just north of Harrison Jet, right? That's been out there for some time, not going anywhere, great pillars of the community. So in that sense of things, I would say it probably would be appropriate over there. Now, coming west of it, we do have residential coming in on that neck of the woods.
Thank you.
Anything else for staff?
On the report, it says that for the FLUP, the future land use plan, the FLUP.
All right, staff, thank you very much. Did you want to entertain the council, not, excuse me, the council, the commission at this time? You have anything further?
I really don't, Mr. Chairman, but good evening. I just wanted to, we're just here to answer any questions you might have. Myself, Ethan, and Jacob, the electrical engineer of record, are here to answer any questions you might have from the new material we provided you. Did just want to make you aware, like Nathan just did, of the memo we provided that's a summary of the plume study, as well as an attempt, those 5 items in the first page of the memo is an attempt to try to answer some of the questions that came up last time related to the fire department and training, and awareness around emergency preparedness and those types of issues and questions. But that's all I have for you.
I got one question for you, myself. So with these meetings with the different parties, did you, as a collective developer, did you guys come away with a new revised look on Kennedale and how you feel about this moving forward if it was partnered with a city? How did that change your vision of things by being able to meet with them and actually work hand in hand with them?
Well, that's a fantastic question. I have, I've worked in local government or development with local government for 15 years throughout my career, traveled around the country talking to local governments in probably 15 different states. And it's not all the time. It happens frequently, but not all the time do I have an opportunity to work with a local government like I have with Kennedale over the past 14 months, where I can talk with staff and we answer questions back and forth, as well as city council. Started meeting with city council members last summer. So these conversations have been great. It's been good to see. We kind of talked and joked about the road and not knowing where the road would go, and then the road alignment as proposed today came through our site, and that's a challenge, but I think we've overcome that and been able to adjust our site plan to meet those needs. So hopefully the city can get what it needs in terms of infrastructure, whether that's energy infrastructure or transportation infrastructure. And we're just here to continue that conversation and look forward to, I hope, a partnership for many years in this community. And I really appreciate all the time from you all and from your staff, and from the time you'll put in over the next year as we hopefully move forward with the project.
I think he likes you, Nathan. All right, I don't have any further questions. Anybody else?
So I got a couple quick questions. So I noticed in the memorandum that y'all are putting in a bond in the amount of $200,000. Is that bond going to be named in the city of Kennedale, or is that going to be in the name of your company? And in the process of there needs to be a claim on that bond, is it in the name of the city that the city can operate and act on that bond?
That's a great question. The intent with that item, number 4 in the memo, is to kind of give an outline of the purpose and intent of that bond, and then to if the project progresses, to work with our attorney and your attorneys to come up with an agreement, a legal kind of agreement, that would outline all the stipulations and fine print of that agreement and bond, and then, yes, place that bond in the name of the city to use in the future, in case they need funds for any reason related to emergency response.
Okay. And then can you also talk about the other $75,000 for the Kennedale Fire Department?
Yes, well, we put that in there because, we've been traveling around Texas talking to towns like you, and spending a lot of time with fire departments and fire marshals' offices and building inspectors, electrical inspectors, and we realized that it takes a lot of time and effort. It's a new technology, or at least it's new for a lot of folks, and a lot of time goes into the process just to get to this moment. And then if we were to move forward with construction, we would be taking up more of your staff's time, and so we wanted to provide a contribution for that purpose. That's the intent of that item.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
You guys good over there? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did we have anybody sign up to speak at all? Not all. All right, any discussion based on what we just heard?
So I'm really impressed in that with the developer coming in and doing the plume study and everything that we've requested and asked them to do. The results of the plume study were what we expected, that it's going to basically stay within the property itself. It's not going to travel too much outside of within its own limits. Their willingness to put in a $200,000 bond in case there is any unforeseen events in which will require city to respond or replace property. The fact that it's going to be the named insured will be the city, that provides an additional bit of confidence in the way that as a show of good faith, that it's going to be there and in the name of the city. The fact that they're also willing to put in additional $75,000 to assist with the training of the fire staff, assist with developing a response plan to any sort of hazards that would come out there. They're working with the fire department they would be working with the fire department in a way that it is designed and built the way that the fire department, to ease any of their concerns or make it easier for them to respond, are all beneficial things. The site plan, as I've stated earlier, this lot is not a good lot. There's really not a whole lot that can go on it, especially between the floodplain, the future road, and then with what the use of this is. It's a battery storage to, this is a good location for it, that is right next to a distribution center. We're not putting it in the middle, next to Kennedale Mountain and trying to transmit that all the way over back to the distribution station. It's right there. In the last meeting, I know we talked about visually obscuring it and keeping it fairly hidden from view. And overall, I just think this is a great project, and I think it's great for Kennedale.
Thank you. Sir, you got anything over there? You good? You good? All right, I just got a quick final statement I want to make. Totally understand where the staff is coming from as far as the legality and the actual future land plan. It's not necessarily that we could foresee something like this being dropped in the city's lap. With that being said, it could be a good fortune drop. This is something I feel like that would probably impact the city in a more positive manner, more so than any negatives that are taken away. So that's just kind of my attitude with it. I appreciate the due diligence the developers made. I see a lot of good information here. Did some reading over it last night. Usually this stuff puts me to sleep. I was actually interested in it, so I know that's amazing, isn't it? So with that being said, it looks like, there's a willingness to be a good partner with the city and with the community, and that's kind of an important thing when it comes especially to the reputation of a city, and a reputation with a development as well. The ability to find a mutual stance, if you will, and have a win-win. But with that, appreciate that with your efforts. I do caveat on the ideas that I understand what the staff says. The non-recommendation is based on not necessarily flowing with the current plan, but we all know plans change. And we used to have a saying in the military, some of the best plans die on the battlefield. That doesn't mean that there's no victory in sight. So with that being said, any last attacks before we take a motion? You're really good? Okay. just make sure. All right. Well, at this time, I would like to take a motion for the individual consideration for the approval recommendation for conditional use permit as required by Section 24.2C of the Uniform Development Code for the battery energy storing systems at the location we previously discussed, because that, again, is a mouthful. All in favor? Can I get well, first of all, can I get a motion?
A motion we approve.
And a second? Anyone else?
I second the motion.
All right, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, we got a 3-2. Motion passed. All right, well, good information. Appreciate it. Definitely something for the city council to think about when they come on this next meeting. And thank you very much. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to public hearings. The only one on the agenda is PZ case 24-09 to conduct a public hearing and consider a request for a zoning change from I Industrial District to Manufactured Home District at 716 West Kennedale Parkway, Block 1, Lot 26, Otherwoodley Acres Edition, City of Kennedale, Tarrant County, Texas. Staff, go ahead.
Yes, thank you again. This particular agenda item, I met with the applicants today and received written requests to actually withdraw this particular item at this time and to be considered at a later time. So with that, if we can ensure that that's noted in the minutes, they've requested it be withdrawn.
Noted. That means no commission action taken. That was an easy one, sir. All right. Well, that pretty much takes us to the end of the road for today. Was there any further? Okay, he's good. All right, well, if that's the case, did we have any open discussion? I can open the floor at this time, 6:33. And I'm going to assume no. So we're going to close it at 6:33 as well.
A motion we adjourn.
You'd like the motion we adjourn? I think somebody wants to go home. All right, well, I'll second that motion. All in favor? And we are adjourned at 6:35. Thank you very much.